Hey everybody, and welcome back to What's Still and Doing. It's a show about things that I've got going on in my life. As you can see, we are back in the Potter House project room, but just for a little bit. As promised, I did kind of want to give you guys a brief look around the room, talk about how things have progressed, where things sit right now, maybe briefly talk a little bit about the future of this project, some things that I have left on my list to get done, and then going to take a well-needed break for a while. As I mentioned in the last video, I'm a little overwhelmed with work and the hours that I'm working right now, and just kind of pump the brakes on the Potter House stuff for a little bit, and then give myself some time to enjoy the Christmas holiday season. There's a lot of bright and jolly things to do around me, and I want to take you guys along for the ride. So we're going to do a little bit of exploring with the Christmas stuff in my general vicinity. So yeah, let's get straight to it. Let's go look around this room, talk about where we're at right now, and things to come. Alright, you guys, first things first, we're going to address the elephant in the room, or rather the hogshead in the room. If you watched my previous video, I was not too happy with the way this guy turned out. And time has passed, I've had some time to kind of sit and stir on it, and I don't hate it. In fact, I still love this guy, and I'm not going to get rid of him, which I did contemplate doing for a little bit there. It's just that his mouth looks like he's been huffing some black spray paint. But I think I've got a plan to kind of bring him back around. And right now, he is hanging on the wall above some suitcases that I had in storage. And this doesn't even scratch the surface. I have so many of these darn suitcases, some of which are huge, like I have the iconic steamer trunks that you see at Hogwarts in all of the movies. And I'm not sure how I'm going to fit them in this space, so I've just been kind of playing around, pulling these out of storage and staging them in different ways. Just kind of seeing what I like, what strikes my fancy, but this is kind of where it's sitting right now. I also have some interactive wands from the theme park here. Those are mine and my wife's. I definitely have Voldemort's because I'm a Slytherin and I love his wand. It is super cool. But those are there because I'm intending on putting them on a stand that I'm going to make. It'll look similar to like what you see in the window at Ollivander's in the theme park. But that is another project for another day. So this will probably change quite a bit. Like I said, I'm just kind of messing around with it and seeing what I like. To the right of that is our apothecary cabinet, which has changed a little bit since the last time you guys saw it. I had all of my glass cloches with my skulls, my bat, my entomology. Those were all at the top here. And I kind of just staged them around my amber glass bottles in the center shelf, just to kind of fill that shelf up. And then I'm intending on filling the top shelf with glass jars like you see here, large, tall ones. The problem with that is that I bought those 4 jars that you see there currently from Hobby Lobby, and they were on clearance, and I probably should have bought 10 more of them. But I wasn't sure what I was going to do with them, or how they would fit in the space, or even if they would fit on the shelf. So I just bought 4. Brought them home, put them up here, they looked great, went back to buy more, they were completely gone. Because they were on clearance for like $6 or $7. And I'm kicking myself in the tookish for not buying all that they had. Because now I can't find them anymore. But how cool would it have been for that whole shelf to be filled with them? Man. I do have my little automated cauldron up here. And this guy, I've done a little bit of work to since I last shown it to you guys. I did put a light on the inside of it. But I've been having some issues with it as far as getting my smart speaker to acknowledge the prompt that I've put in. So all I have to say, and as you guys know if you've seen my previous video on how I made this guy, all I have to say is echo locomotor cauldron. So it's working now. But on occasion he'll just say, I don't know what that means, which is quite frustrating. So I might have to change the prompt. But I'm going to have to get kind of creative with it. I'm not really sure what I'm going to what I'm going to say to make this work, but that's the light. You can see that the light's inside of it kind of illuminates the whole thing. And that goes off for about a minute and then shuts off automatically. But all that I have left to do with this cabinet is fill that shelf with books, fill this top shelf with jars that are similar to those, and then all of the bottles I want to have some kind of filler in, whether it be like moss or dirt, sediment, some kind of liquid, colored liquid, and then I'm going to put some labels on them too. I'm going to make my own little apothecary labels and adhere those to the jars. And then this cabinet will be done. So moving on, to the right of that will be a brand new cabinet that I have not purchased yet. And I've got all these skulls and bones and things on the floor here that are going to be living inside of that cabinet whenever I get it. I just haven't found one for sale that fits what I have in mind yet. The apothecary cabinet was an old china cabinet that my mother-in-law gave me, and it had glass doors and some wood doors at the bottom, and it was quite a bit shorter. I added some wood across the bottom here to make it taller, and some decorative wood across the top. Added all that, filled in the holes from the doors and things like that. So I would like to find something similar to this, but probably a little bit wider so I can fit more in it. And maybe I'll keep the glass doors on it, because I don't have any cabinets in the room that have glass doors, and I think it would be cool to have all of the more macabre type stuff, my bones and skulls, shrunken heads and things like that behind the glass doors. So I do have to find a cabinet to go here to fill this space and to fill with all of my creepy stuff. But that is another work in progress. Moving on from that, we are at the entertainment stand, which the last update I did on this was the magnifying glasses, which I'm extremely happy with. They are holding strong. I was a little bit nervous that I'd come in here one day and they would all have fallen and broken some of the antiques that I have underneath them, but everything's been good. Everything has been good. The only thing that I have to do here is fill in the shelves. I just gotta buy some more antiques, some brass antiques to kind of fill it up, because there are no empty shelves in any of the shops in Diagon Alley. So I gotta pack this thing up, fill it to the brim. It's gotta be bursting with all these antiques. And then of course I did mention that when we're not watching TV, I would like to have some sort of personalized moving portrait playing on the television, which is going to take some time to figure out what I'm going to do. It's going to be, of course, going to be me and my wife. So it's playing a moving portrait of us when we're not watching TV. Now on here, I do have my Ministry of Magic memos. Underneath that, I've got the egg from the Goblet of Fire. And then to the right of that, I do have the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone, depending on what country you're from. Moving on from that, we've got my bookcase, which I love. I could just sit in here and stare at this bookcase all the time, you guys. I love it so much. But as you know, this is the first one that I completed in my videos. It is 100% done with one exception. And I've mentioned this before. I've got a little tablet in this frame here. It's an old tablet I just don't use anymore, but I want to, same thing as the television, I want to put a moving portrait here. And I've got a little video that I put together playing on it now. And this is just of the dragon inside of Diagon Alley, and every once in a while he breathes fire, which is pretty cool, but just to kind of give you guys an example of what I want to do with this guy. But other than that, this guy's done. 100% done. And I've got my Marauders map up there. And I've got my time turner on there, which looks so cool with the flickering of the flame from my wall sconces. And then down here, my two favorite props. I've got my Tales of Beetle the Bard book, and this one, which I haven't shown to you guys yet. Now this one, this little picture here, this was given as a gift to my wife and I for our wedding. And this guy was used on the set of Goblet of Fire. It wasn't screen used, trust me, I've tried to find it, but it was not featured on screen or in any of the shots of the film, but it was there. It was part of the set, and it came with all the proper certifications to prove that it was there. And it is probably the coolest darn thing that I own. Now right now, I mentioned this before, but this is a dresser. The lower part of this cabinet is a dresser that I got from IKEA. And I turned it into this. And then I built the top half from scratch. But I plan on using this as storage in our living room for whatever we can come up with. But right now, it is filled with a bunch of stuff that I use to make some of the props in here. Every drawer is filled to the brim. There's all kinds of stuff. There's twine and chain and some scrolls left over down here, some old books that I tear the pages out of. And I've got this chocolate frog here. This is a fun little story. So this guy is an actual box from a chocolate frog that we bought at Universal Studios in Hogsmeade. And I did some little makeover work to it. I put in this like gold reflective paper, and I bought a toy, like a rubberized toy frog, and painted him chocolate colored and glued him to the bottom of my Albus Dumbledore wizarding card. And we used this as a prop to hold our wedding rings when we took our photographs for our wedding. So there's that guy. I don't know if I'm going to feature him in the room, but I love him. So he just kind of sits in the drawer for right now. But like I said, every single drawer on this thing is filled with stuff. There's my Death Eater mask, my shrunken heads, my blowfish. I got a rattlesnake in there. All kinds of stuff that I haven't quite found a home for in this room yet. But every drawer is full. So the stuff that's in there you will see eventually on the shelf in this room. Moving on from that, our last cabinet, which is this mirrored cabinet. And there's nothing inside of it. The only major thing I had to do to finish this cabinet was redo the mirror, because I hated the way it looked the first time I did it. And now it looks great. The only other thing I can think that I might do is put a couple more globes up here. Not big ones like these 4, but small ones like the ones that are just sitting on the top. Maybe some that size that are on a smaller stand. But most of them will probably just be sitting across the top there. Fill that up with some more globes, and then it's done. Another thing that I see in my mind about these cabinets is that in the shops, they all have something across the top. And I used to have bags and stuff across the top up here, and I had some of my antlers and horns across the top up here. But that is another detail if you notice when you go into the shops in Diagon Alley. Almost all the cabinets are just, they're so full that they also have stuff sitting on top. That's just how much stuff there is in these shops. But that's a detail I'm not sure if I'm going to include or not yet. Really, it's going to depend on how tall the ceilings are when we move. But yeah, you guys, that's it. That's the whole room. This is where I'm at so far. Talked a little bit about the stuff that I have for the future. A little bit of the projects that I have in mind to get some of this stuff done. Some things that I'm playing around with that I'm not quite sure how it's going to look when it's all said and done. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Well, that's it, you guys. I'm totally out of breath. I don't know if you could hear my heavy breathing throughout that whole video. There's a lot to kind of explain and show you guys, but that's where everything's at right now. And I definitely have my work cut out for me next year. A lot of stuff to do, very little time to do it. But I'll be back in this room working on this stuff, and I'll be ready to go. I'll be ready to get it done. So if you're new here, thanks for joining today. But also, there's a couple videos before this one that kind of shows how I make this stuff, how this stuff has come to fruition. So go check them out. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out, and I greatly appreciate it. But for now, I'm Dylan, and this is what I've been doing. I'll see you guys next time. Echo, Knox.